Oh, hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to Legend of Tucker. Welcome back on this very, very warm day here in the good old new NYC. It's very warm today, very warm. Not as warm as yesterday, where literally I was baking over I was making donuts over some very hot oil. So I was sweating a lot in the comfort of my own home because we cannot install our ACs yet until next month. So it's been great. It's been great to be dealing with this very uncomfortable month out of the year. But anyway, so this week, before I begin, hopefully everyone's doing well. Hope you're all doing well as we are once again continuing through this pandemic, through this lockdown. For me, it's been more of the same. I finished college, at least majority of it. I still have one more class to go, but majority of my classes are done. I'm done with majority of the university, so I just have one course left. But I can do that in my own free time. So, with that being said, this week we're talking about remembering NFC toys, or basically Amiibos, Lego Dimension figures, Skylanders. That generation of gaming. It was wow. It was right around the time I was wrapping up high school, going to college, and getting my first job. That was around the time where I think for me it was at an all-time high for me, where NFC toys was starting to become a brand new thing. I think so Skylanders started the whole trend back in, I want to say 2011, 2012. Around that time period was when initially it was supposed to be a spin-off of the Spyro series, trying to get the Spyro franchise one last major push before shelving the franchise for good. And for some uncanny reason, the game sold well enough, very well, not because of the Spyro name mostly, but because of the whole Skylanders collectible line, where this was kind of the first real major push by from what I can recall, from a developer and studio and publisher that were kind of making you in a way like, if you want to play the game, you have to buy the toy. Now then again, they did come with starter packs, so you get, I think it was like, commonly it's 3 characters to start off with, and then if you want more, you have to purchase that separately. It worked out for everyone except for the parents, or for the parents, where the kids get to play the game and get more toys to play with, as well as for publishers to get more money, because now they can squeeze more money out of the base game, as well as for new characters, both in the launch pack up and, of course, obviously for future DLC or eventually future installments, as we'll get into. And then I remember Disney Infinity. I feel like Disney Infinity, at least the first one, I wasn't interested in 2.0 or 3.0. The gameplay itself for 1.0, the original Disney Infinity was like, wow, I would have loved to get this game. It was so fun. It felt like so much fun. And again, like, Skylanders never interested me as a consumer, even by 2012 standards or 2011 standards, whenever that came out. It never really brought me into the fold, because I didn't know Spyro back then. Or I knew of Spyro, but I wasn't a big fan of Spyro. And then when it came to the other things, I wasn't interested. So when Disney Infinity came along, where it was going to be a partnership between you're getting worlds from Pixar and the Disney worlds, and I believe there was more in there. And it was awesome to be able to collect those figures and jump into those worlds. It felt like a cool concept. Again, I never got into it because I feel like that just felt like too much of a kid game for someone of my age, even I was 15, 16 at the time, to be enjoying. And then when we came around to 2.0, when it got to the Marvel stuff, like, wow, this is cool. At the moment it was cool. Slowly, as many things, you start tainting the market just too much. Because I believe it was either 2014 or 2015. Well, around that time is when, for me personally, is when I started getting into it, when the Amiibos and Lego Dimension started about, where Amiibos, come on, like, Nintendo, you can't deny that. For me personally, it was a natural fit, because like, I was definitely like, the Amiibos work as a collectible. It works for the base game, and it also is a nice shelf item to have. And basically speaking, is that the funny thing about how I got my Mario Amiibo is that someone that I used to be acquaintance with wanted to sell her PS3, so I sold it to a friend of mine, and we split the profits. It was like about $20, so about as much as this Amiibo figure back then. And I kind of was a little bit rushful, to be honest, where technically I shouldn't have made a 50-50 agreement, / she kind of was trying to back out of the 50-50 aspect, because when it came to the money aspect, it was $40, so it was 2020. But since it was her PS3, technically speaking, she should have gotten more. This thing cost around $17, so, and I already bought the Amiibo on my way home, so yeah, it was too late on that. Plus, again, I didn't want my parents to at the time, again, I was getting a little bit too old to be asking my parents for stuff. So when it came to this bad boy here, I tried to find my best to buy them on my own. And actually, considering all jokes aside, I feel like the entire Amiibo line was all from my money. Like, I never asked my parents to buy me an Amiibo. I never did. And then when I eventually got Smash Bros. On 3DS and Wii U, then these bad boys really came in handy. And then I got into more Amiibo collecting. Then I think by the time I graduated high school. So ironically speaking, I never actually asked my parents at all to ever buy me an Amiibo. So that was the crazy aspect of it. And then from then on, I started collecting more Amiibos as 2015, for me personally speaking, went on. Even actually going to some launch, like day one events to go buy some Amiibos. And that was so much fun to be able to do that. And I think around that time they announced Amiibo cards for the Animal Crossing. I'm like, oh god damn, this is going to be so huge. And well, I'll get to that story momentarily. And then eventually, as I got a job, I made this kind of like silly thing that I was going to collect all the Amiibos. And I actually was going to, like 2016, like getting my first job and starting to get a lot of money, disposable money at the time period. It was fun. It was really fun to like be able to plan out those purchases and be able to be in charge of my own finances. And it was so much fun. It really was. And then as fall 2016 came around, which I think was my first proper real Black Friday hunting, I got Lego Dimensions for, I believe it was $40 or $60. It was somewhere incredibly cheap, way down from the base, the original price. And, that's when these figures come along. And I feel like this is where I peaked, because considering the fact that, to be completely honest, playing Lego Dimensions was not a difficult task per se, but it was more or less, you would need, it's more easier to buy the figures, because while I was playing through certain levels, I needed characters with certain abilities. But the person in me felt like, well, to get certain characters, I mean, in the game, it gives you options to use your studs, from what I remember, to purchase the character temporarily just to get through this obstacle. But in many ways, it's like, well, I don't want to spend my studs. I kind of just want to, just go ahead and just buy the character. But the thing is that I held off on so long because I was so scared. Because, like, when Toys R Us used to be, like, the big, the big store, not nowadays. I think Toys R Us was only back in very limited supplies around America, or when it was because of COVID and such. The thing that always scared me off was that, oh crap, I don't know what I want to buy. I need to research what these characters would do. And especially for me, I never even finished the story. Like, I never did. I still have my Lego Dimension game. It's still there. I still have the base model. I can still technically go back to that game if I want to. I just don't want to, because that time period in my life is kind of over. And I'm playing so many other games, so I really don't have time to jump back to Lego Dimensions too far back. So I just got scared about just trying to, like, even consider getting to these things. So eventually, I think around mid-2017, I just stopped. Like, I stopped buying Amiibo. Like, if I find an Amiibo that I really, really, really wanted, like, even nowadays, like, it was Cloud, or even now from Ultimate, I would buy them. I would not hesitate on buying them if they were a reasonable price, if I had some extra money to spare. All if. Because I still remember the time period where it was very much so I would need to, budget it out. Nowadays, with everything going on, again, last time I mentioned COVID, is that I would necessarily have to, I don't plan on my budgeting anymore, since I'm saving so much money, not going to events, not taking the bus. My savings has risen to new levels, per se. But anyway, so to get back to the point, like, back in the day, I used to budget every single week, and I would always put in an Amiibo or something on my budgeting experience. Like, okay, the money is there. I made it work with my budget to buy at least one figure, or maybe if I appropriate some funds elsewhere, I could make it work. But anyways, so to kind of bring that to a close, right now, current to speak, NFC toys are kind of in that weird market where it's like Skylanders shut down after I think the 5th game or the 6th game of its lineup. Disney Infinity did not move on to 4.0. Lego Dimensions supposedly had a big expansion pack in the work, or maybe it was going to have a sequel, but that got canceled because the sales weren't good. And Nintendo just kind of like, the problem is with the Amiibo is, give me a second, I'm gonna drink some tea. Okay, so what I was saying was that Amiibos are such in a unique place right now where it is like, the Amiibos were so closely tied to the Wii U era of things that, and everyone knows about the Wii U era of Nintendo. Spoilers, it sucked. It was kind of weird, in my opinion, about the Wii U era, because for me personally, like, the Wii U era was just another era. Like, for me personally, I know it just did not perform as well, because, again, with the title confusion and all that, yes, Nintendo should not have named the Wii successor the Wii U, because it just would have confused people, so to speak, and it just did not take off so well. Plus, here's the thing, like, the games for the Wii U were pretty good. I'm not saying that much, but it just, the marketing and then eventually the slow start of things, and they never really caught back onto the street. And thankfully, Nintendo Switch has bounced them back to new levels. I'm thankful for that, but the Wii U era was just so polarizing to a lot of people. For me, again, I feel fine in it. I'm probably never going to turn on my Wii U again, because you got Smash, you got Mario Kart, I got everything I need on my Switch. I have no reason to go back. So, with that being said, I feel like the Amiibos were kind of that one thing that at least stepped back hardcore, although I will give major props to that one E3 where we were getting a Skylanders Amiibo crossover. That was so freaking huge. I really wish I could have gotten that game, but I didn't. Well, the Skylanders game, I would have loved to get those Amiibo / Skylander figures. I would have loved to get those. They're still available, but that time period in my life is gone already. I have no interest in going out there and buying it. But anyway, so right now it's kind of a weird place where the NFC era is kind of over. Like, no one's really using them anymore. Like, Nintendo is still giving the people who have the Amiibos another chance, because with Smash Bros. And Animal Crossing specifically now, like, you could still use your Amiibos. They're still producing more, just not at the level as it was before, because I remember the Amiibo craze of 2014, 2015 was at an all-time high, where I went to a Nintendo World event before it was called Nintendo New York, where they had a whole restock of Amiibos. Like, it was just one day, I told my dad, listen, I'm going to go to the city, I'm going to get this Lucario Amiibo, just brace it. Actually, that actually reminds me of a funny story, which I was going to tell George or someone one day on the shelves, but I'm going to do it here now. So when the Amiibo craze was happening, I was in my senior year of high school. I was around that time period. When I was going through that time period, I was very much into Amiibos. Like, I was only going to get one major Amiibo from every wave. So wave 1 was Mario, wave 2 was Luigi, wave 3 was going to be Lucario. That was kind of my dead set, this is it moment. So, but Lucario, as many people know, one of the hardest Amiibos to find when it was released. Like, you could barely find it anywhere in stores. Like, you know, they sold out like hotcakes. I think it was a Toys R Us exclusive or something like that. I don't know. It was an exclusive somewhere. It was just very common in one area, but I missed the boat. So, and at the time period, again, Nintendo really underestimated the popularity of these Amiibo figures. So, when you went to a store, if you found anything, you're in luck. Pick it up, buy it, because the likelihood of you even picking that up again is going to be gone. So, when that happened, you know, everyone was talking about, oh, okay, we're going to do restock, we're going to get this back up the coast so everyone will get them. And Nintendo World was kind of like the number one New York resource to getting these Amiibos that people were missing. So I remember this one day where I was stuck in school, but then a couple of friends of mine, they actually went to Nintendo World to pick up some Amiibo figures, and they called it the most enlightening experience, because the line was so freaking long. Like, the store is like at the end of the street, and then there's a train station at the corner of the other side of the street, and the line just went as far back as that. That's how big the Amiibo craze was, at least here in New York. I don't know how it was around the world. I really don't know. But So for me, I got so jealous because like I need to get this Lucario. Like this Lucario needs to be in my hands. It needs to be in my home. So I literally waited day after day after day on Twitter, just waiting for that tweet. Nintendo New York would have, well, Nintendo World would have a restock of Amiibos, and then the day came. The day came, and I sprung into action. So then I went. I actually begged my dad for 20. I'll be more concerned. I think at an allowance, like my dad would give me $20 every other week for chips and drinks for like Arizona after school, like little things. And then I would save up my money, and so I went. I bought a Metro card, spent $6, headed out to Manhattan, and the line was just so freaking humongous. It really was. Because, like, my stupid ass has never been in a line before. I never went in a line for anything in my life. So when I got there, it was like, I thought it was going to be, oh, no one's here. I'll just go up to the cashier. And then there was a security guy that was kind of instructing the people who were there for the Amiibo restock. Like, everyone, listen, there's a line out back. Start out there. And I did. I was kind of like halfway through the street. So it wasn't that bad. But it did move very slowly. Because everyone was, trying to get as much Amiibos as they can. Thankfully, there were limits back then. Thank God. I don't think I would have survived much then. And so I kept on going. The line kept going. And then eventually I got in. And I was always scared I was going to have that one moment where it was like, I would be behind the guy that would get the last one that I was looking for. I was always afraid, but thankfully I got there. The Lucario, there was still at least maybe like 15 or 20 more. There was enough for at least maybe another good chunk of the line. And then I dipped. And it was like me just holding this Lucario figure in my hands, waiting to go home, open this bad boy up and like actually hold it was such and the most rewarding experience of my life that I actually got this figure. And I was just sitting in my shelf. I'm not really doing anything with it 5 years later. So things have their moment. And I guess that speaks to the entirety of this topic where the NFC figures, the toys for life, were very much in the moment, so to speak, where it was super popular for the time period. Kids latched onto it, and now we just moved on to the next thing. And that's just the way the game works. I would have loved to see at least Amiibos like do another major push in their lineup, at least another year or maybe another generation. But hey, at least we're still getting Smash figures. I'm totally fine with that. I have no quarrel there. Will I get all the Amiibos? It's been 5 years since I started that phrase. Probably not. Maybe one that when I'm really old, I'll probably like just have all of them, have them, and then I'm done with the whole thing. Maybe, who knows? But at least for right now, I still hold very much of a high respect for this time in my time in gaming. I'll never forget it. It'll be a very interesting story to tell my kids one day when hopefully I will hook them on video games and I will bleed myself to death buying them video games. Just telling them, hey, listen, there was a time period where the toys you're playing now, you could put them in your game. And then they'll probably ask me, well, what happened to them? Like, oh, they died out. So, like anything else in the world. Anyway, so, yeah, I miss these. I really miss this era, but I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we moved on to the next thing. But let me know in the comments, like, what was your favorite memory with an Amiibo, or Lego Dimension, or a Skylander, or a Disney Infinity thing, or anything else that was NFC related? Let me know. I'm always open to conversations in the comments. Anywho, I think that's going to do it for me, guys. So if you were unaware, this was Let Joe Talk from Action X. If you want to see more of Let Joe Talk, we post a brand new episode, hopefully each and every Wednesday, barring any delays or such like that. If you're also wanting to see more of that, please subscribe to youtube.com/ActionX. And also ring the bell for notifications when we have a brand new episode live. Like, favorite, and share this episode if you want to. It really helps us out, get us out there. And also, follow us on social media. When we're always posting, slapping, and commenting. I guess. I think isn't that how the kids say nowadays? I'm 22 years old, turning 23. Like, I don't know what the kids these days are like talking about anymore. And I'm not even that old. I'm only like, whatever. I'm a little bit old fashioned. All right, guys. So again, hopefully everyone's fine in the world. Stay safe. We'll get through this together. Be good to each other, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.